So, Freedom of Information Amendment Bill. Now, we're going to be hearing in the House of Keys. It's going to be popping into the House of Keys. Why is it, and what exactly is the amendment?
A series of small amendments to improve some of the language of the 2015 Freedom of Information Bill and to deal with some changes that have happened since 2015. So, for instance, we've got a Tynwald Commissioner for Administration starting work at the end of this year. We've got local authorities and statutory boards under the regime now, so we needed to tinker a little bit with the original legislation, and that's why we've got a small amendment bill. It's been through its clauses stages. The amendment bill itself was amended. I hope it goes through third reading, no problem, on Tuesday, and then it'll be in the Legislative Council, and I hope it has royal assent soon.
Now, it's being rolled out along through local authority as well. How effective is it in ensuring that a lot of sort of myths that might be out there, that they be debunked?
I think it'd be helpful for local authorities to make sure that their ratepayers understand what they're doing, and I think it'll be helpful for ratepayers to make sure that questions they have are answered, and perhaps policy around local authorities and the rate system and waste and housing and all the really valuable things that local authorities do will develop as a consequence of the extra information that is likely to become available through freedom of information requests. But very importantly, we need a grown-up freedom of information regime. The law already allows us to charge for a request, and it also allows us to limit the costs associated with answering a request. And I would hope that we wouldn't have to use those provisions in the law, but we would if necessary.
I mean, of course, it's cropped up in the news, hasn't it, about certain individuals perhaps putting a great deal of requests in.
That's true. We publish quarterly information about the use of freedom of information. One quarter recently, I think it was March to June, nearly a third of the actual requests were from one person. So I hope we all learn how to use it better.
How are people being encouraged to do that then?
Officers take the time to talk with people, to try to point them to websites if the information is already available on the website. And one of the biggest issues is that there are two regimes. There's the freedom of information regime, which covers information that's going to be published eventually, and then there's information about every one of us, and that's subject to what's called the data protection regime. So a subject access request is what's appropriate when it's information about yourself inside a public body. A freedom of information request is different.
The individuals that are submitting a great deal of requests, a myriad of requests, as it were, what is being done to try and tackle that? You say a more adult approach.
We have to see freedom of information inside the other sources of information dissemination, and there are two of those I want to bring to people's attention. The first of which is the way that government and other public bodies like local authorities make information available about themselves. So at the moment, if somebody asks information that's already been published, we help them to see it in a public place. Eventually we might be a bit shorter about how we do that. And the second way is a Tynwald question. You wouldn't believe how rich Hansard is with all of the information provided in questions over the years. And also you wouldn't, I hope people have come to realise that the search engines on the Tynwald website are actually excellent. So I would hope that people, before they ask a question, would actually go and do a word search on the detailed business search on the Tynwald website, because I'm sure that quite often you would find the information that you were looking for either on the Tynwald webpage or available on government's website through its open government policy.